There was a young man named Oliver Grayson who had just moved to town. He wasn't the typical kind of guy you'd expect to see in this small community. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches, with broad shoulders and hands that looked like they could crush a watermelon without trying, he carried himself with an air of quiet confidence. His dark brown hair was always neatly combed back, and his piercing green eyes seemed to look right through people. Oliver's voice was deep and calm, but it carried weight when he spoke. He wore simple clothing, usually jeans and a plain t-shirt, but everything about him suggested strength and purpose. The way he walked, with measured steps, made it clear he wasn't someone who rushed through life. He had recently transferred from another school after his father's job relocation, making him the new kid in class. The other students didn't know much about Oliver yet. They saw how he kept mostly to himself during lunch breaks, choosing to sit under a large oak tree rather than join any groups. When spoken to directly, he replied politely but briefly, never offering more information than necessary. This reserved nature only added to the mystery surrounding him. What set Oliver apart most was his demeanor. While others might have felt awkward or out of place as newcomers, there was something unshakable about him. He greeted teachers with respect, nodded kindly to classmates passing by, and maintained an even temper regardless of circumstances. Yet beneath this composed exterior lay layers yet unknown to those around him, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. In every school, there seems to be a group that thrives on causing trouble. At Maplewood High, these individuals were known as the Wolf Pack. Led by a muscular senior named Trenton Blackwood, they consisted of 4 other boys who followed his lead without question. Each member possessed their own intimidating qualities. Marcus Hale with his towering height, Riley Foster known for his quick temper, Dylan Brooks who excelled in sports, and finally, Logan Carter whose sharp tongue cut deeper than any physical blow. Trenton stood at the center of this menacing circle. With broad shoulders and arms covered in tattoos earned over years of street fights, he commanded attention wherever he went. His reputation preceded him. Stories circulated among students about how no one dared challenge him. Teachers often turned a blind eye to his antics due to fear of retaliation against their property or personal belongings. Even Principal Anderson treaded carefully around Trenton, limiting disciplinary actions to verbal warnings which held little consequence. The Wolf Pack operated like predators circling prey. They targeted weaker students, using intimidation tactics ranging from verbal abuse to minor thefts. Their favorite pastime involved cornering victims in deserted hallways or empty classrooms, where they would demand money or valuable items while threatening harm if refused. Many victims complied out of sheer terror, knowing resistance meant worse consequences. Their presence cast a shadow over the school environment, creating an atmosphere of unease among younger students. Parents complained frequently about their children becoming withdrawn or developing anxiety symptoms after encounters with the gang. Despite numerous complaints filed with administration, nothing substantial changed because evidence always mysteriously disappeared before reaching official channels. When news spread about Oliver Grayson joining the school, the Wolf Pack took immediate notice. Here was someone different, tall, strong, and seemingly fearless. Trenton saw this as both a challenge and opportunity. A new target meant fresh territory to dominate, proving once again who ruled the halls of Maplewood High. The day began like any other for Oliver Grayson. He woke up early, ate a simple breakfast of oatmeal, and prepared himself mentally for another day at his new school. As he walked through the corridors, his usual calm demeanor masked the thoughts swirling within him. Today felt different somehow, though he couldn't quite put his finger on why. During second period gym class, the atmosphere shifted noticeably. The teacher had paired students randomly for a basketball game, and fate placed Oliver on opposite teams from Trenton Blackwood. The tension between them was palpable, even to those not directly involved. Every movement Oliver made drew Trenton's intense gaze, each glance filled with barely contained aggression. "Toss me the ball," Trenton barked suddenly, startling everyone except Oliver. The command came unexpectedly since they weren't even playing against each other at that moment. But instead of complying, Oliver calmly continued dribbling near midcourt, focusing solely on the game. "Hey, new guy, you deaf?" Trenton shouted louder, drawing stares from surrounding players. Still, Oliver remained unfazed, maintaining his steady rhythm. His breathing stayed controlled, muscles relaxed despite the growing hostility. Frustration flickered across Trenton's face as he stormed towards Oliver, stopping mere inches away. "You think you're better than us?" he growled low enough so only Oliver could hear. For a brief moment, Silence hung heavy between them, broken only by the distant thud of basketballs hitting floors. With deliberate slowness, Oliver raised his head until their eyes met. "No," he replied simply, voice steady and devoid of fear. "Just different." That single word struck Trenton like a physical blow. No one ever talked back to him, let alone dismissed his threats so casually. Before anyone could intervene, the bell rang signaling end of class, saving Oliver from whatever confrontation might have ensued. As students dispersed, Trenton watched Oliver walk away with same composed stride, leaving behind lingering questions in minds of many witnesses. Over the following weeks, interactions between Oliver and the wolf pack grew increasingly hostile. During lunch periods, Trenton made it a point to approach Oliver under the old oak tree. Each encounter started similarly, Trenton swaggering up with his crew trailing behind, their presence alone enough to send nearby students scattering. "You really think you can ignore us forever?" Trenton sneered one afternoon, leaning casually against a picnic table. His tone carried a dangerous edge, promising retribution should Oliver continue defying their dominance. Behind him, Marcus crossed his arms, while Riley tapped impatiently on his phone screen, pretending disinterest but ready to act at a moment's notice. Oliver glanced up from his book, taking in their postures without showing alarm. "I'm not ignoring you," he responded evenly, closing the cover gently. "We just don't have anything meaningful to say to each other." Such straightforward answers only fueled Trenton's anger. Other students noticed how each exchange left the bully squad more agitated, yet unable to provoke a reaction from Oliver. Whispers spread throughout the student body regarding the mysterious newcomer who refused to bow down to local tyrants. One particular incident occurred during art class, ironically enough, when Logan decided to test Oliver's patience further. While most students worked quietly on assigned projects, Logan leaned over Oliver's shoulder, deliberately bumping into his chair. "Mind if I borrow some space here?" he asked mockingly, knowing full well there wasn't room for another person at the cramped table. Without looking up, Oliver slid slightly to one side, giving just enough room for Logan to squeeze in. However, when Logan reached for materials clearly marked with Oliver's name, things escalated quickly. "Those are mine," Oliver stated firmly, hand moving protectively over his supplies. "Relax, princess," Logan smirked, attempting to grab the items anyway. That's when something unexpected happened. In one fluid motion, Oliver caught Logan's wrist mid-reach, holding it firmly but not painfully. "Let's keep boundaries clear, shall we?" he suggested softly, releasing Logan's arm before the latter could react. This subtle display of control sent shockwaves through the classroom. Students watched wide-eyed as Logan retreated grumbling, avoiding direct eye contact with Oliver afterward. Word traveled fast about what transpired, adding fuel to already simmering tensions between the two groups. Teachers too began noticing changes in dynamics among students. Several reported observing unusual behaviors from normally unruly teens whenever Oliver entered shared spaces. Some expressed concerns privately, wondering whether intervention might become necessary sooner rather than later. Yet none dared confront Trenton directly, fearing potential backlash against innocent bystanders. As days passed, anticipation built steadily amongst all parties involved. Everyone knew conflict loomed on horizon, waiting only for right spark to ignite explosive situation brewing beneath surface appearances. Friday afternoon arrived, bringing with it an oppressive heat that seemed to mirror the rising tension between Oliver and the wolf pack. Gym class concluded earlier than usual due to equipment issues, leaving students milling about outside the building. It was then that Trenton chose his moment. "All right, Grayson," Trenton called out loudly, gathering attention from nearby peers. "Let's settle this once and for all." His voice carried authority, demanding response from its intended target. Behind him stood his loyal followers, forming a semicircle that blocked easy escape routes. Oliver paused mid-step, turning slowly to face challenger. "Settle what?" he questioned calmly, though internally preparing himself for inevitable outcome. Around them, spectators formed larger circle, sensing significance of upcoming event. Trenton stepped forward, closing distance between them until mere inches separated their faces. "You've been playing games long enough," he spat venomously. "Either show respect where it's due, or prove why you deserve it." For several seconds, neither moved nor spoke, locked in silent battle of wills. Then, almost imperceptibly, Oliver tilted his head, studying opponent closely. "Respect isn't given lightly," he declared finally, voice carrying conviction. "It must be earned." That statement ignited fuse. With roar of frustration, Trenton swung fist aimed directly at Oliver's jaw. Time seemed to slow as everyone watched anticipated collision course unfold. But instead of impact, there was merely sound of displaced air as Oliver ducked smoothly underneath attack, positioning himself behind Trenton in single fluid motion. Chaos erupted momentarily as remaining members of Wolf Pack surged forward, attempting to surround victim. Yet before they could fully engage, Oliver demonstrated skills far beyond anything witnessed previously. Using combination of precise movements and calculated strikes, he neutralized each attacker individually without unnecessary force. Witnesses gasped repeatedly as events unfolded rapidly. One moment, Riley found himself sprawled on ground after failed attempt to tackle Oliver from side. Next instant, Marcus stumbled backward, clutching arm twisted awkwardly behind back. Meanwhile, Dylan discovered difficulty maintaining balance thanks to swift kick directed toward ankle joint. And Logan ended up sitting dazed amidst dust cloud kicked up by rapid footwork. Throughout entire altercation, Oliver maintained remarkable composure. His breathing remained steady, expression unchanged despite mounting pressure applied by multiple opponents. Finally, facing off against Trenton again, he delivered decisive move, open palm strike targeting chest area, sending leader of pack stumbling several steps away before collapsing onto knees. Silence descended upon gathered crowd as reality sank in. Never before had anyone seen such demonstration of skill combined with restraint. Rather than finishing off fallen adversaries, Oliver extended hand towards Trenton, offering assistance standing up. Perhaps next time, he suggested mildly, we can find less destructive ways resolving differences. Following the confrontation, a strange hush settled over the schoolyard. Students stood frozen, unsure how to process what they had just witnessed. Teachers emerged cautiously from nearby classrooms, drawn by the commotion. Mr. Peterson, the gym instructor, approached the scene first, assessing the situation with concern etched on his face. "Is everyone all right?" he asked, directing his question specifically at the members of the Wolf Pack who now sat scattered around the area. Trenton, still kneeling on the ground, nodded silently, accepting Oliver's offered hand only after a prolonged hesitation. The other members exchanged wary glances, rubbing various parts of their bodies where Oliver's defensive maneuvers had landed. Principal Anderson arrived shortly thereafter, accompanied by 2 security guards. Upon hearing a summary of events from eyewitnesses, he requested statements from all parties involved. Surprisingly, none of the Wolf Pack members attempted to retaliate verbally or physically against Oliver. Instead, they provided straightforward accounts of the fight, acknowledging that they had initiated the conflict. Back inside the principal's office, a tense meeting took place. Trenton and his crew sat stiffly in chairs arranged along one wall, while Oliver occupied a seat directly opposite Principal Anderson's desk. The older man regarded them thoughtfully, weighing the implications of this unprecedented event. "I understand you boys were involved in a serious altercation today," Principal Anderson began, his tone measured but firm. "While violence is never acceptable, I also recognize that certain situations require extraordinary measures. What I want to know is how we can prevent similar incidents in the future." To everyone's surprise, it was Trenton who spoke first. "Sir, we messed up," he admitted gruffly, avoiding eye contact with either the principal or Oliver. "We picked on someone who didn't deserve it. We won't do it again." Principal Anderson studied the boy carefully before nodding. "Good. Because starting tomorrow, each of you will begin serving detention after school for the remainder of the semester. Additionally, I expect you all to participate in community service projects designed to help rebuild trust within our school community." Turning his attention to Oliver, the principal continued, "And as for you, Mr. Grayson, while your actions were commendable, I must remind you that self-defense should always be a last resort. Let's work together to ensure peaceful resolution becomes our default approach." Oliver nodded respectfully, understanding the importance of maintaining balance between assertiveness and humility. Outside the office window, sunlight streamed through clouds dispersing earlier stormy skies, symbolizing hope for brighter days ahead. Weeks passed following the incident, during which noticeable changes swept through Maplewood High. The once feared Wolf Pack gradually transformed into something entirely different. Trenton and his friends started attending anger management sessions voluntarily, seeking healthier outlets for their frustrations. They joined various clubs and sports teams, discovering camaraderie previously missing from their lives. Meanwhile, curiosity about Oliver intensified among fellow students. Rumors swirled regarding his background, speculating origins of skills displayed during confrontation. One afternoon, during study hall, a brave sophomore named Calvin mustered courage to ask directly. "So, Oliver," Calvin began hesitantly, "where exactly did you learn to fight like that?" For a moment, Oliver hesitated, considering whether revealing truth served any purpose. Then, deciding honesty deserved recognition, he leaned back in chair, preparing to share story rarely told. "My father was a former military officer," he explained slowly, choosing words carefully. "Growing up, he taught me importance of discipline, respect, and protecting oneself without causing harm." He paused briefly, collecting thoughts before continuing. "But more importantly, he instilled belief that true strength lies not in defeating others, but in helping them rise above challenges. That's why I chose restraint during fight, because hurting someone proves nothing worthwhile." Calvin listened intently, absorbing lessons embedded within Oliver's narrative. Around them, other students eavesdropped openly, captivated by revelations unfolding. Someone whispered, "No wonder he acted differently," prompting nods of agreement from nearby listeners. Word spread quickly throughout school regarding Oliver's upbringing and philosophy. Students began approaching him with newfound respect, seeking advice on handling difficult situations. Even teachers noticed positive shift in atmosphere, crediting Oliver's influence for fostering an environment conducive to learning and growth. Yet perhaps most significant transformation occurred within Trenton and his former gang. Inspired by examples set before them, they embraced opportunities for redemption wholeheartedly. Under supervision of faculty advisors, they organized peer mediation programs aimed at resolving conflicts peacefully. Their efforts earned praise from administration and gratitude from peers alike. Through sharing personal journey, Oliver unknowingly sparked chain reaction benefiting entire community. Lessons learned extended beyond individual victories, planting seeds of change destined to flourish long after graduation ceremonies concluded. Life at Maplewood High continued its steady pace, yet beneath surface currents ran stronger than ever before. Trenton and his former cohorts faced numerous tests as they navigated path toward rehabilitation. Early mornings brought mandatory detentions supervised by strictest teachers, testing limits of patience and determination. Afternoons required participation in community service projects ranging from park cleanups to assisting elderly neighbors with household chores. Each task presented unique challenges, forcing introspection and adaptation. Cleaning graffiti off walls forced Trenton to confront reasons behind original acts of vandalism. Helping Mrs. Thompson carry groceries upstairs reminded Logan of times when he mocked her struggles climbing same staircase. These experiences chipped away at hardened exteriors, revealing vulnerabilities hidden beneath layers of bravado. Simultaneously, Oliver experienced trials of his own. Increased visibility drew unwanted attention from external sources eager to exploit perceived weaknesses. Anonymous notes slipped into locker warned of impending revenge plots orchestrated by disgruntled acquaintances of former bullies. Sleepless nights plagued by vivid memories of combat training consumed precious hours needed for academic pursuits. Despite mounting pressures, both groups persevered, drawing strength from mutual respect developed through shared adversity. During particularly challenging moments, Trenton sought guidance from Oliver. Asking questions related to mental fortitude required maintaining focus under stress. In return, Oliver confided fears concerning ability to withstand prolonged scrutiny, seeking reassurance regarding authenticity of intentions guiding actions. Together, they formed an unlikely alliance bound by common goal: creation of safer, more inclusive school environment. This partnership extended beyond immediate circle, inspiring others to contribute positively towards collective mission. Study groups formed organically, pairing high achievers with struggling learners. Mentorship programs launched connecting seniors with freshmen, bridging generational gaps previously considered insurmountable. Amidst whirlwind activity, occasional setbacks occurred, reminding participants progress rarely follows straight line. Misunderstandings arose when well-meaning suggestions misinterpreted, leading temporary rifts requiring reconciliation efforts. Yet each obstacle overcome strengthened bonds forged through collaborative struggle, reinforcing value derived from persistence despite difficulties encountered along journey. As months progressed, tangible results materialized, validating efforts invested. Incidents involving bullying decreased significantly according to official records maintained by administration. Attendance rates improved across board, reflecting increased sense belonging experienced by student population. Most importantly, smiles replace frowns adorning faces traversing hallways daily, signifying transformation occurring. Hearts, minds affected by ripple effects generated. Single act courage demonstrated. Field dusty afternoon. Spring semester brought unexpected developments, altering trajectories charted thus far. During routine check-in session with guidance counselor, Trenton revealed secret burden weighing heavily upon shoulders. Years spent cultivating tough exterior masked underlying pain stemming childhood trauma, inflicted abusive stepfather. Episodes violent behavior manifested earliest attempts coping mechanisms failing miserably. Revealing vulnerability required monumental courage, especially considering previous reputation cultivated based intimidation tactics, employed suppressing emotions deemed weak. Yet acknowledging existence problem represented crucial first step healing process long overdue. Encouraged seek professional support services available campus. Trenton embarked journey self-discovery, guided licensed therapists specializing adolescent psychology. Parallel revelations surfaced concerning Oliver's past. While visiting local library researching historical figures exemplified perseverance overcoming adversity, he encountered elderly gentleman named Harold Wilson. Former Marine stationed overseas during tumultuous era, Mr. Wilson recognized similarities mannerisms exhibited young visitor reminiscent soldiers trained same rigorous standards decades prior. Engaging conversation ensued revealing Oliver's father hadn't merely served military capacity. He led covert operations necessitating mastery advanced combat techniques alongside psychological warfare strategies. These disclosures reshaped perspectives held previously cherished ideals. Trenton's willingness confront demons, internal validated notion redemption, possible regardless past, mistakes committed ignorance. Oliver's expanded understanding family legacy, illuminated complexities, balancing adherence principles, instilled youth against adapting modern world demands evolving constantly. Impact reverberated throughout social fabric interwoven threads, comprising diverse backgrounds converging singular location. Conversations shifted focus addressing root causes problematic behaviors, rather assigning blame superficial actions observed surface level. Workshops scheduled exploring healthy methods expressing emotion, encouraged open dialogue promoting empathy compassion, fostering connections, transcending superficial barriers, erected defense mechanisms, employed survival purposes. Unexpected friendships blossomed unexpected places. Rival athletes teamed project designing fitness program, encouraging inclusivity participants varying abilities levels. Artistic talents showcased murals painted public spaces depicting themes unity resilience resonating deeply communities, impacted recent transformations witnessed firsthand. Music enthusiasts collaborated composing pieces celebrating diversity strengths united harmoniously create symphony greater than some individual parts contributing melody chorus. Through series interconnected revelations, participants gained deeper appreciation interconnectedness humanity shares regardless apparent differences, separating initially perceived irreconcilable divides. Lessons learned reinforced power forgiveness healing power extending olive branches extend bridges constructed mutual respect trust foundation solid rock tested storms weathered together emerging stronger unified front prepared face whatever future holds store awaiting discovery horizon bright promise dawn new day awaits greet eagerly hopeful hearts yearning peace prosperity shared equally amongst inhabitants blessed planet spinning endlessly vast universe infinite possibilities contained within grasp reach willing seize opportunities present moment offers freely gift unconditional love binding all creation eternal cycle renewal rebirth everlasting. As final exams approached, the atmosphere at Maplewood High buzzed with a mixture of anticipation and nostalgia. Graduating seniors reflected on their journeys, recognizing profound transformations occurring within themselves and broader community. Among these reflections, none shone brighter than legacy established through courage demonstrated single afternoon beneath blazing sun. Trenton stood beside stage erected auditorium, adjusting graduation gown nervously, while scanning audience searching familiar face. Spotting Oliver seated front row, he offered rare smile genuine gratitude expressed silently understood connection, shared private moments, defined pivotal chapter lives intertwined destiny unforeseen circumstances. Both men recognized journey undertaken together contributed lasting impact extending far beyond confines brick walls, enclosing institution education. Principal Anderson addressed assembled crowd, highlighting achievements accomplished, collective effort spanning academic excellence, athletic prowess, creative endeavors, artistic expression. Special emphasis placed recognizing contributions, individuals stepping forward, lead initiatives, promoting positive change affecting countless lives, touched, ripple effect waves, kindness, compassion, generosity, spread outward, touching hearts, minds, souls, seeking direction, purpose, meaning, life journey, fraud, obstacles, challenges, overcome, triumph, celebrated victories, earned sweat, blood, tears, poured passion, pursuit, dreams, realized aspirations, fulfilled promises, kept commitments, honored vows, renewed. Faith restored, hope reignited, spirit alive, burning brightly, beacon light, guiding path forward, uncertain terrain ahead. Among speeches delivered, a memorable quote resonated deeply with the graduates present, the audience listening attentively. True strength is found not in breaking others, but in building, lifting, elevating, inspiring, empowering, to achieve greatness together. Stand united to face adversity, overcome together, and emerge victorious together. The room fell silent for a moment as those words hung in the air, sinking into hearts and minds. Trenton felt them settle heavily within him, each syllable echoing through his chest like a drumbeat of resolve. He glanced over at Oliver once more, who offered a small nod of encouragement from where he sat among the crowd. It was more than just acknowledgement. It was a promise, a silent vow that this journey wasn't ending here. This was only the beginning. As the ceremony concluded, the graduates spilled out onto the lawn, laughter mingling with tears as they embraced friends, family, and mentors who had walked alongside them through thick and thin. Trenton lingered near the stage, feeling an unfamiliar mix of pride and humility wash over him. For so long, he'd defined himself by fear and intimidation, but now he realized there was power in vulnerability, strength in reaching out instead of pushing away. A hand clapped down on his shoulder, and he turned to see Marcus standing beside him, grinning ear to ear. "You did good today," Marcus said simply, his voice carrying none of the usual bravado or edge. "Really good." Trenton smirked, though it lacked its former bite. "Yeah, I guess we all did." They stood together for a while, watching the chaos unfold around them, the hugs, the photos, the excited chatter about futures yet unwritten. And then, without needing to say anything else, they stepped forward, joining the throng of people celebrating not just their individual accomplishments, but the collective growth that had transformed their school. Later that evening, under the soft glow of string lights strung across the quad, a group gathered informally. There were old faces and new ones, voices raised in laughter and song, cups filled with soda and juice passed freely among friends. Among them sat Oliver, now surrounded by students who once might have avoided him altogether. They peppered him with questions about everything from self-defense techniques to life philosophies, soaking up his calm wisdom like sponges. "You know," Riley began, leaning back against a bench with a thoughtful expression, "I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you like this. But you're different, man. You make sense." Oliver smiled faintly, his green eyes reflecting the warm light above. "Maybe I'm not so different after all," he replied softly. "We all carry pieces of ourselves waiting to be discovered. Sometimes, it takes someone else pointing out what's possible before we can see it ourselves." The circle fell quiet for a moment, absorbing his words. Then Logan chimed in, his tone lighter than usual. "So, does that mean you've got some secret advice for us too? Like, how do we keep going when things get tough again?" Oliver tilted his head, considering the question carefully. "When times are hard," he said finally, "remember why you started. Hold on to that reason like it's the anchor keeping your ship steady. And don't forget, you're never alone. Even if it feels like you are, reach out. Someone will always be willing to lend a hand." His words struck a chord, sparking nods and murmurs of agreement. The conversation shifted then, moving toward lighter topics, dreams of college, careers, travels abroad. Yet beneath the surface, a current of understanding flowed between them, binding them closer than ever before. Weeks later, as summer settled in, the transformation at Maplewood High became even more evident. The peer mediation program expanded, drawing interest from neighboring schools eager to replicate its success. Community service projects grew in scope and ambition, tackling everything from local park renovations to food drives for families in need. Students who once hid in the shadows began stepping into the light, finding their voices, and using them to create change. Trenton, now officially off detention duty, threw himself into these efforts wholeheartedly. He led workshops on conflict resolution, sharing insights gained from his own struggles. His team, the former Wolf Pack, joined him enthusiastically, proving that redemption could indeed come full circle. Their reputation evolved, no longer one of fear, but of hope and possibility. Meanwhile, Oliver remained a guiding presence, though quieter now, content to let others take center stage. When asked why he didn't seek recognition for his role in the changes, he shrugged with characteristic simplicity. "It's not about me," he said. "It's about what we can accomplish together." And together, they achieved wonders. One crisp autumn morning, months after graduation, Trenton found himself back at the old oak tree where it had all begun. The leaves rustled gently overhead, painting the ground in shades of gold and crimson. Sitting beneath the branches, he pulled out a notebook he'd been working on during breaks throughout the summer. Inside were sketches, not of art, but of ideas. Plans for a mentorship program aimed at helping younger students navigate challenges similar to those he'd faced. He smiled as he flipped through the pages, remembering the first time he'd approached Oliver under this very tree. Back then, he'd seen only an opponent, someone to dominate. Now he saw a friend, a teacher, a catalyst for change. Life, he realized, was funny that way. It had a way of surprising you, teaching you lessons you never expected to learn. As he packed up his notebook, preparing to head home, a familiar figure approached. Oliver stood there, hands in his pockets, smiling faintly as always. "Still coming back here?" Oliver asked, his deep voice carrying warmth. Trenton chuckled. "Guess I haven't grown tired of it yet." Oliver nodded, glancing around at the familiar surroundings. "Good place for reflection. Helps remind you where you've been, and where you're headed." For a moment, they stood in companionable silence, letting the memories settle around them. Then Trenton spoke again, his voice carrying newfound confidence. "You know, I think we made something pretty special here. Something bigger than any of us." Oliver looked at him, his green eyes twinkling with approval. "That's because you believed in it. All of you did. Belief has a way of turning dreams into reality." With that, they parted ways, each heading towards separate paths that nonetheless intertwined in countless unseen ways. Behind them, the oak tree stood tall, its roots digging deep into the earth, its branches stretching skyward, a symbol of resilience, growth, and the enduring power of unity. And somewhere, in the heart of Maplewood High, the legacy of change continued to bloom, proof that even the toughest battles could give rise to the most beautiful victories. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.